Welcome, curious soul, to another quiet voyage. You've made it through your day. Maybe it was wild, maybe it was soft. Either way, you're here now, and it's time to rest, to drift, to let the universe hold you for a while. Tonight, we're floating toward one of the most mysterious places in existence, a black hole. But don't worry, this isn't the scary kind. No ships getting sucked in, no chaos, just science, wrapped in wonder. These black holes are quiet, patient, still. They bend light, they stretch time, and they whisper truths you don't need to chase, only feel. So wherever you are, snuggled in bed, tucked into a corner of your room, or floating in your own little galaxy of thoughts, you're in the right place. Drop a comment if you're comfy. Tell me where you're listening from, or what time it is in your corner of the cosmos. It's always magical to see how far these little night journeys travel. And hey, if this story gently rocks you towards sleep, or just gives your brain a soft place to land, tapping like or subscribing is like sending a quiet thank you into the stars. Simple, kind, cosmic. Now, take a breath, let it fall. Let your mind grow still. Let gravity go. Our story begins in the dark, right at the edge, where stars stretch and shadows begin to hum. Let's begin. You begin in the quiet of space, where stars whisper and galaxies breathe. There is a silence so deep, it curves the light around it. You've heard of black holes. Tonight, you drift toward one, but before the fall, pause and wonder what truly lies in a shadow. Space isn't empty. It hums, it stretches, it remembers. Close your eyes. Imagine the universe not as a void, but as a fabric, a sheet pulled taut by invisible hands. This fabric isn't still. It ripples when planets spin, when comets arc, when stars are born or die. The fabric moves, and sometimes something presses down so hard it leaves a dent that cannot be undone. That dent is what we call a black hole. But don't rush toward it. Not yet. Let's hover, slowly, just above. The gravity well. We're not here to fall. We're here to feel. All around you, the sky is velvet. Galaxies twirl like dancers in slow motion. Spiral arms glowing in soft pinks and blues. The dark between them isn't empty. It's rich, alive. It holds not just light, but mystery. You drift gently. No engine, no noise, only the thrum of your breath and the ancient quiet of the cosmos. Here, silence isn't emptiness. It's the echo of all that came before, and there. It is dot in the distance first. No different than any other patch of dark, a black hole. But it's not a hole. Not really. It's a place where the rules begin to bend, where light slows, where time stretches, where space folds inward like paper touched by flame. You drift closer. No sign says here begins the strange, but your senses know. The stars shimmer oddly, like they're seen through water. Light doesn't travel straight anymore, because space itself is warped. This isn't chaos, this is law. Gravity is doing what it does best, guiding, pulling, shaping, including you. You remember what you learned once black holes begin as stars. Giants, burning bright for millions of years, then collapsing, not with noise, but with weight, folded by their own gravity into something smaller than thought. Imagine your body compressed to the size of a marble now. The earth shrunk to a coin, now a star, a million earths wide, squeezed into nothing. You can see, but it doesn't vanish. It becomes a point, a singularity, infinite density. Zero volume, and around it, the event horizon, the ripple's edge. You float here now, right before the edge. Time slows. Your heartbeat stretches between stars. You think, are black holes destroyers? Or are they something else? A photon glides past. You watch it bend like a ribbon caught in wind. Its path isn't straight, because here nothing is. Even time starts to curve. You try to measure the moment, but the thought unravels. Time isn't broken, it's just unfamiliar, like a dream told backward, like a mirror reflecting a mirror, and somewhere in that distortion, you feel something unexpected: peace. Maybe understanding isn't the point. Maybe presence is behind you. Stars burn patiently ahead. The shadow waits. But here, in this weightless pause, you feel small, but not afraid, because wonder is bigger than fear. You think, what is it like to fall without falling? To cross a boundary made not of walls, but of physics? What does it mean to slip beyond where no message can return? Not as an ending, but as a voyage. Somewhere, an ancient photon slips free. It curves toward you, gravity warped, carrying light. Older than history, you watch it pass, and for a breathless moment, your own pulse syncs with the rhythm of the stars, and softly you ask yourself, if a shadow can bend light and stretch time, what else might it hold? And in that question, you begin to fall. You float in silence, surrounded by a velvet sky that has swallowed the sun. There is no sound here, just the hush of distance, the stillness of time stretched too far to feel. You are drifting near a place where something once shined bright, a star now gone. But stars don't vanish, they transform. The one you feel now, though invisible, once burned with the light of 1,000 earths, a giant, living furnace that fused hydrogen into helium, releasing warmth into the cold. For millions of years, it held its shape by a balanced gravity, pulling in, heat pushing out, until, one day, it could not. The fuel inside began to run dry, like breath at the end of a long run. The pressure weakened. Gravity, ever patient, ever waiting, tightened its grip. The star trembled. Its outer layers puffed out in a final, fading glow, a red giant's quiet bloom. Then came the collapse, not an explosion, but a folding, like paper turned inward on itself. The core shrank, pressed under its own enormous weight, past atoms, past protons, into something smaller than anything you've known. A singularity, not a place, but a point where the known breaks down. You don't see this, but you feel it, a presence where there should be none. A center that does not reflect light, only swallows it. Black holes are not monsters, they are memories. Leftovers from stars that gave all they had. What remains is a horizon, the event horizon, where time freezes and light can't escape. It is not a wall, but a question. What happens past here? From afar, the star's collapse is slow, almost gentle. To an outside observer, the final fall seems to take forever, as if time itself is mourning, stretching the moment before goodbye. But inside, the fall is instant. The laws of physics spiral inward, tighter and tighter, until they're no longer laws, just silence. You imagine yourself there, not falling, but floating near the edge. Around you, space bends. Starlight curves in strange arcs, colors, stretch to red, then fade. Even your sense of time shifts. Minutes stretch, seconds blur. You are not dying. You are dissolving, slowly, softly, into the geometry of gravity, and yet the universe doesn't end here. Around black holes, galaxies continue spinning. Light still dances in the void. New stars are born in other corners. Life too moves on, unaware perhaps that somewhere nearby a star rests in folded silence. You begin to understand. Collapse is not an ending, it is a transition. What falls inward may pull something else forward. What disappears from view may become the foundation for something new. Black holes may even give birth to other universes. Some scientists say, in their depths may lie passageways, not prisons. But for now, we do not know. The horizon guards its secrets well. Still, what we do know is enough to marvel at. The idea that gravity, this invisible thread, can shape the fate of suns and stretch the meaning of time. It humbles you. You drift a little farther back now. The black hole shrinks in your view, not because it's gone, but because you are zooming out. Letting the story settle. Letting the silence speak above you. Stars pulse. Around you, space hums. You are not falling. You are resting in thought. The remnants of a star have shown you that even endings have their own kind of grace, and as you float, one question stirs gently inside you. If gravity can fold a star into darkness, what else might it hold together? And if a star can become something new after its brightest days, what does that say about everything else we think is gone? You begin to notice something strange. Not a sight, not a sound, but a feeling. A subtle lean. A soft stretch in the fabric beneath you. It's as if space itself is tired here, warped, like a blanket pulled too long in one direction. This is gravity, but not the kind you know. Back on Earth, gravity feels familiar. It pulls you gently to the ground, keeps oceans loyal to their shores, holds moons in orbit like pearls on invisible strings. You think of it as a force, a downward tug, a hand on your shoulder. But here, near a black hole, gravity sheds its disguise. Einstein once whispered a truth: gravity is not a force. It is geometry. The space around you is no longer flat. It ripples, it folds. It wraps itself around something that is no longer visible. Mass doesn't just sit in space. It tells space how to curve. And curved space tells everything else how to move. You float on this curve now, tracing the invisible spirals that lead inward. You're not being pulled. You're falling because the road ahead slopes down. Even light, the fastest traveler in the universe, bends here. Even time forgets how to move straight. You look up. Stars seem to drift around an invisible drain. They don't know why they spin this way, only that they must. Like dancers pulled toward music they cannot hear. You begin to feel smaller, not in size, but in certainty. All the maps you've drawn of reality relied on straight lines, but here lines lie. Nothing moves in a straight path. Every step is curved. Every moment twisted slightly out of shape. Imagine placing a marble on a stretched trampoline. Now imagine the marble is your universe. The weight at the center is unseen, but its presence is undeniable. It tells you where to go, even if you never meant to move. This is gravity without a face. Not a push, not a pull. A path that curves beneath your feet. You drift closer, not because you decide to, but because space itself allows no other direction around you. Time slows. This isn't a trick of the clock. It is woven into the shape of space. The closer you come to the black hole's edge, the slower everything outside appears to move. and to someone watching you from afar, you appear to freeze, but you don't feel frozen. You feel suspended, stretched across two truths, one that still belongs to the outside world, and one that bends inward, closer to the unknown. You try to picture it, but how do you imagine a place where the rules break gently, not violently, where direction loses meaning, where past and future begin to blend? Perhaps the truth is not to be seen, but felt. You remember standing on a hill once, watching clouds roll past, how the ground stayed firm, but the sky moved like a memory. That feeling returns here, not with clouds, but with the movement of everything around you. A soft whirl, a hush that turns space into silk, and then you notice a glow. Not from the black hole itself, but from the matter around it, caught in orbit, heated by friction, whispering its final light before silence. This is the accretion disk, a glowing wreath of surrender. Nothing escapes once it crosses the line, but before that, even falling can be luminous. You wonder, is there beauty in surrender? Is there grace in letting go? You breathe slow. You listen deeper. Gravity has no face, but now it has a voice, and it tells you, I am not your enemy. I am the curve beneath your life, the hidden architect of galaxies, the patient keeper of order. You drift further, not falling but gliding like a feather on a cosmic breeze. The space around you darkens, not in menace, but in calm. Here, you are not lost. You are placed, and you begin to wonder what else lies ahead. If space can curve, can it fold? If time can slow, can it loop? If black holes mark the ends of stars, might they also mark the beginnings of something? Else you are not meant to answer tonight. You are meant to ask, and as you float in this silent, curving cradle, a new question curls like mist around your thoughts. What would it feel like to fall into a place where even time forgets the way? Forward. You drift closer now, drawn by something you cannot see. There is no pull you can feel, no wind, no gravity in the way you've known it. But you're moving slowly, and the stars behind you begin to bend. Before you, there is no object, no surface, no edges like a planet or star might have. There's only an invisible threshold, a veil with no texture, no glow. The event horizon, it's not a place, but a point of no return. A moment in space where light, even at its fastest, finds itself trapped. A boundary where time begins to hesitate, and the future slips into silence. You've heard people call black holes destroyers, but here, at the edge, it feels different. There is a calm, a knowing, like the pause between heartbeats, or the breath before a tear falls. It holds the weight of all the stars that came before it. From far away, time seems to slow as something nears the event horizon. To a distant observer, you would appear to freeze, suspended in a moment that never ends. But from your perspective, you continue falling, unaware of the moment when crossing becomes crossing over. Photons, those fast messengers of light, stretch as they try to flee. They fight to rise away from the pull, but the closer they get to the edge, the harder the climb, redder, dimmer, slower, until finally they vanish. You are not afraid, just curious. This isn't destruction. It's a lesson in thresholds. Imagine time as a river. Far from the black hole, it flows evenly, predictably. But here, at the edge, the current rushes forward with such force, no boat, no thought, no particle can row against it. The river falls faster than you can swim, and yet, in the quiet, You feel something sacred. All information, all paths, all pasts converge at this border. The event horizon is memory's final gate. What enters may be lost to us, but perhaps not lost entirely. There are theories, whispered through equations, that say information is not destroyed, that what falls in leaves a trace, a hologram on the horizon itself, as though the black hole remembers every photon, every atom, every heartbeat, like the rings of a tree. This edge may hold the whole story, just not in a form we can yet read. You begin to understand. An event horizon is less of a fence and more of a whisper. It doesn't block, it marks, it says, here, things change. Here, light forgets how to return, and still you drift closer. Unafraid, there's beauty here, in the way space curves and slows, in how the universe writes its deepest poetry in silence. A kind of stillness where you don't just see time, you feel it unraveling to you. Inside this flow, everything seems smooth. Seconds pass, normally. Your thoughts feel the same. But outside, someone watching would see your approach grow slower and slower until you nearly freeze at the edge, never quite crossing. It's a paradox. You've gone in, but to them you haven't. That's what makes this edge so strange. It hides you not with shadows, but with time. You think about what might lie beyond, a singularity, a center of collapse so small and dense that space folds completely around it. But that's a story for another chapter. For now, you are at the threshold, 1 foot in space, 1 foot in something else. You pause just before the line, as if listening to the last words the universe might say before it turns inward. This is not a place of ending. It's a place of questions, of boundaries we don't yet understand, and perhaps never will. But just because you can't return doesn't mean you're lost. It just means you've entered a new chapter, a place where cause and effect blur, where past and future get tangled. Even here, in all this mystery, there is elegance. The event horizon holds its breath, always watching, always remembering, a quiet sentinel at the edge of space and time. You turn ever so slightly, and for a moment glimpse the universe from this edge. Stars shine, galaxies swirl, time still ticks, and somewhere in that distant dance you remember. You came here, not to escape, but to understand. And as you prepare to cross, a thought settles gently into your mind. What becomes of time, once it no longer has anywhere to go? You have crossed the threshold to the world left behind. You remain a ghost on the edge, suspended, motionless, a statue of light trapped just before the fall. But to you, the moment is anything but frozen. You are in motion, smooth, endless. Motion, there is no jolt, no break, just falling falling forever, in a place where forever no longer means what it once did. Inside this horizon, time stops being the guide. Here, space folds so tightly, so fiercely, that it trades roles. With time, forward no longer means where you are going. It means when you are going. And even that begins to blur. The fabric of the universe is tangled around you. Every direction curves toward the center, like a funnel, like the inside of a dream that's caving inward. Up becomes down, then becomes now. Your sense of location disintegrates like mist in sunlight. You are not falling down. You are falling in. The sensation is not violent. It is soft, like slipping deeper into a warm bath. Gravity here does not tug on your limbs. It speaks directly to your geometry. It redefines your shape. In silence, there are no stars here, no constellations to steer by, only the inside of an idea, a place so curved it cannot remember the outside world, a place where time runs, like water circling a drain that never ends. This, you realize, is what a black hole truly is. Not a monster, not a vacuum, but a region where the rules grow, strange, where cause and effect unbutton their collars and begin to dance. The deeper you fall, the less you know what deeper means. You remember Einstein once said, space and time are not separate things. They are threads of one fabric. And here, that fabric has wrinkled. The center of the black hole, the singularity waits ahead, or perhaps it waits now. You cannot tell. Time has folded inward. Past and future rush toward each other like waves meeting in a still pond. There are theories, spoken softly among physicists, that say the singularity is not a point, but a moment, a place in time where all paths converge, where every timeline meets itself, and still, you fall. There is no feeling of speed, no acceleration. Yet you know, somehow, your journey cannot stop. Everything you once thought of as static, your sense of self, of movement, of memory, begins to blur. Perhaps you are not falling through a place, but through a question the universe keeps asking but never dares to answer aloud. And in this question there is peace. You recall the laws that once seemed solid, Newton's apple, the ticking of clocks, the measured steps of light. All of it now feels like chalk on water, still true but softly dissolving. No signals can reach out from here. You are beyond contact, but not beyond wonder. Inside the event horizon, all paths lead inward. All directions point to one thing, the singularity, and though you cannot see it, you feel its presence, like a whisper behind a closed door. It is not evil, it is not waiting for you, it is you, or will be. A destination that bends even identity until it becomes part of the fabric. Time is no longer something you move. Through it moves through you. And so, you let go of up, of down, of memory. You are not dying. You are being rewritten. No edges, no ends. Just the sense that something fundamental is shifting. A transformation that language cannot carry. You remember light, how it used to dance across oceans and through leaves. Now it seems like a rumor, a thing you once knew, but you are not. Alone, around you. Perhaps in other streams are falling, other things drift, other particles, other stories. They too are collapsing into something smaller than thought. You wonder if everything that falls in becomes one. Does that mean we all meet again eventually? There is no time to answer. But that's the strange thing about time here. It never runs out. Only in, and somewhere within that infinite inwardness, you begin to feel a strange symmetry, like everything you were becoming was already waiting here, folded in the gravity all along. Perhaps you are not just falling into a black hole. Perhaps you are falling back into the beginning. The singularity ahead or behind or all around you pulses without shape, without dimension, and though you cannot see it, you know this is where the story turns. You close your eyes, not to shut out the dark, but to become part of it, and in that darkness, one last thought flickers, quiet as breath. If time can fold here, can it open somewhere else? You float again, softer now. Your breath synced with the hush of starlight. Time feels thick, not faster, not slower, just heavier, as though each second has been filled with thought. And in this stillness, you imagine Einstein beside you, not the wild-haired icon, but a gentle thinker. He smiles and sets down a small silver clock on the invisible floor between you. This is your experiment. You'll drift close to the black hole, while the same clock remains far behind outside. The curve, where space stays calm, 2 clocks, 2 places, same time. At first, but gravity does something here, something odd. It wraps around time the way it wraps around planets. It stretches it, slows it. You and the clock begin your gentle descent. Nothing dramatic, nothing urgent. Just a slow glide toward the horizon. But as you near the edge, your clock ticks differently. Out there, far away, the other clock races ahead. A minute for you becomes an hour for it. A heartbeat for you becomes a season in the stars. You are time's quiet traveler now. This isn't magic. It's the shape of space. It's how gravity curves, not just paths and light, but moments. The closer you fall toward the black hole's center, the deeper the well you slide into, a well not of stone or soil, but of slowed time. Einstein once said, "Clocks tick slower in gravity's arms." Now you live that truth. You see it in your pulse, in your memory, in how the stars seem to shift faster when you glance back. It's as if the universe out there can't wait, while you, held gently by gravity, are asked to linger. Imagine twins. One stays behind, orbiting a quiet moon. The other you drifts near the event horizon. Years pass for the twin, but when they finally meet you again, only days have passed in your mind. To them, you're younger now. This is time dilation, not science fiction, but science's softest trick, a lullaby sung in spacely of. You touch the silver clock beside you, still ticking, still faithful, but different now. Not wrong, just part of a new rhythm. It's easy to forget that time isn't constant. It feels solid in daily life, like a metronome that never misses. But near a black hole, you learn. Time is elastic. It stretches like light. It bends like memory. And yet, you feel no pain in this bending. Just awe, just wonder, just a deepening silence that asks you to pay attention. You look again at the stars. They shimmer with urgency now, as though running toward futures. You can no longer match. You are slow, gentle, drifting. But isn't that a kind of peace? Outside, 1,000 conversations begin and end. Nations rise, oceans move, suns are born. But here, in the pull of this cosmic cradle, you breathe through a minute that holds a century. You wonder, what if all moments held this much space? What if time didn't hurry? In your own life, clocks chase each other, alarms ring, deadlines loom, but near the black hole, there is no rush, no appointment, just this sacred pause. The clock beside you ticks once, then again, slow, like a lullaby, like the heartbeat of a newborn planet. Einstein turns to you, his smile quiet. He doesn't explain, he just watches the second-hand move. Not faster, not slower, just different. And somehow you understand there's beauty in time's flexibility, in the idea that speed and gravity aren't just forces, they're sculptors of experience. In the real world, this is how astronauts age differently in orbit, a fraction slower than those on Earth. Small effects, but real ones, proof that time listens to gravity's voice. You press your hand to your chest, feel the rhythm, the tick inside you. Even here, it follows you, adjusting, adapting, enduring. You are a clock to dot, and somewhere the twin clock ticks faster, each beat a distant echo. It will keep ticking long after you've moved on, long after this chapter bends into the next. You and Einstein rise slowly, watching the stars blur. The experiment is done. The lesson is simple. Time is not a single story, it is many, and you are inside one of them. The fall has stopped, not with a crash, not with a sound, just stillness. A stillness so complete it seems to hum. You are no longer falling, you are inside the black hole. But what does inside mean when space and time have both unraveled? You float, if floating is still a word that makes sense here. There's no direction, no up or down. You have no idea if your arms are moving or if your breath still has weight. Gravity has stopped pulling, not because it's gone, but because it's all around you. In every grain of this collapsed sky, you've reached the singularity, the supposed center, but it doesn't feel like a center. It feels like a riddle, whispered into a void. Scientists describe it with equations: infinite density, zero volume, a place where math breaks down and logic asks for a break. But numbers don't live here, only silence does. And you, the world outside, is gone. It hasn't vanished. It's just unreachable. Light can't return from where you are. Neither can sound, nor news, nor memory, and yet something remains. You, your thoughts, your breath, the slow beat of curiosity. In this place, time folds on itself. The past, the future, the present, they become ideas, not certainties. You remember a childhood moment, then a question about atoms, then the feel of sunlight. But they don't come in order, they just are. You are not dead, you are not dreaming, you are existing inside the unsolvable. The singularity is said to be infinitely small. But what does that mean? Smaller than a cell, than a proton, than the idea of size itself. It is here that space forgets how to hold shape. It curls inward, it collapses, it erases the grid it once painted on the universe. Imagine a sheet of paper folding again and again, tighter and tighter, until there is no surface left, just compression, just an end that isn't an end. The singularity is not violent, it is quiet, deceptively so. You expected fire, maybe sparks. Instead, you find a deep breath that never finishes. If you listen, really listen, there's something like a hum, not in your ears, but in your bones. A presence that feels like waiting, as though the black hole itself is holding its breath, wondering what you will notice. There are theories. Some say this is a one-way road to nothing. Others say it's a doorway, that black holes may lead somewhere or someone else. Wormholes, white holes, baby universes. Ideas more poetic than proven, but they give shape to the shapeless. They give hope to mystery. You reach out, not expecting to touch anything, and you don't, but the gesture matters. Here, motion has meaning, even if it leaves no trace. You think of the universe beyond, of stars that may no longer exist, of voices you'll never hear again, of moments that blinked while you slowed. And still, you are not afraid. There is something sacred in not knowing. You feel how the singularity is not a thing, but a boundary. The line between what we can measure and what we can only imagine. It's the moment a question grows too big for language. Somewhere, scientists wrestle with this moment in particle accelerators and chalkboard equations. They call it a breakdown of general relativity, a quantum puzzle, a singular point of infinite gravity. But here, it just feels like a question mark floating in velvet. And maybe that's enough. Not every mystery demands an answer. Some invite you to sit with them, to feel their weight, to honor their silence. You begin to wonder if the black hole is a mirror, not of light, but of thought. It shows you not what you look like, but what questions live deepest inside you. What is the beginning? What is the end? Can something be both? The singularity offers no reply, only presence. Only this strange, still now. And in this now, you realize something soft and profound. Even when everything collapses, when light bends, when time shatters, curiosity remains. You are still asking, still listening, still reaching into the dark. And maybe that's what matters most. Not the answers, but the reaching. You blink, though you don't know if your eyes are open. The singularity doesn't blink back. It simply is. A place where everything ends, and maybe something else begins. And as the hum of the singularity grows quiet once more, a new thought flickers. If something can fall inward forever, could something, someday, fall outward just the same? You float in quiet wonder. The black hole behind you like an open mouth holding its breath. Time is slow here, still thick from where you've drifted. You are past the edge now, past clocks and starlight. Yet something inside you still ticks. A whisper travels through the dark. Not a sound, but an idea. Stephen Hawking speaks to you, not with voice, but with presence. His thoughts ripple through space-time like music without notes. He says, nothing is ever truly lost. This is the beginning of a paradox. You think of everything the black hole has taken. Stars, light, questions, dreams, and yet, Hawking says, they are not erased, only hidden, only rearranged. The universe, it seems, is too careful to forget. This is called the information paradox, a soft contradiction. According to the old rules, anything that falls into a black hole is lost forever. But quantum physics disagrees. It insists that information, the blueprint of matter, the fingerprint of every atom, must be preserved. So, what happens when these two truths collide? You imagine a book tossed into the black hole, a story full of names, places, choices. On the outside, the pages vanish. But Hawking asks, could the story still be there, written into the fabric of the horizon? Could the black hole remember without showing? He proposed something radical. Black holes aren't silent. They radiate, not loudly, but softly, slowly, like a sigh. This is Hawking radiation. It seeps from the edges, particle by particle, as if the black hole itself is dissolving into memory. Each tiny glow carries a whisper of what once fell in, and this changes everything. Because if the black hole can leak information, even gently, over billions of years, then perhaps it is not a vault, but a translator, turning matter into message, transforming being into echo. The idea comforts you. Imagine your voice falling in, your laugh, your questions. Maybe they linger there, rewritten in the quantum static, encoded in the light that eventually escapes. Maybe the black hole doesn't destroy, maybe it distills. You reach toward the event horizon. Though you've already crossed it, the edge remembers, like a shell collecting sound. The horizon hums with what it has held. Some theories call this the holographic principle. The idea that every memory, every particle swallowed, is recorded on the surface. Like carvings on the skin of the void, you drift deeper. The silence around you feels less empty now. It's dense with memory, with paradox, with possibility. Even your body, even your thoughts, are stories in motion. Could the black hole be a library instead of a tomb? Hawking once said, "Black holes ain't as black as they are painted." He imagined them glowing faintly, like coals in the night, slowly evaporating. But that glow isn't just heat, it's a release, a letting go of all that was taken in. And if this is true, then death itself is not destruction, but transition. You listen closely, not with ears, but with presence. You feel the radiation, the slow evaporation, the faint echoes of stars long gone. Hawking called it information conservation. Not just atoms staying atoms, but identity staying intact. The way you can burn a letter, but the smoke still contains its carbon. The message shifts form, but does not vanish. Even here, inside this vast shadow, you feel it. The universe wants to remember. This changes what you are. Not a fleeting moment, not a forgotten whisper, but a pattern, a ripple, a wave in space-time that leaves a mark, however small. You are made of information. Every heartbeat, every thought, every tear, data written in particles and spin. You do not end, not really. You transform. Even black holes must obey this. Perhaps, Hawking thought, there is no true edge. Only a veil. Perhaps all things fallen are only waiting to be returned in strange and subtle forms. Perhaps no secret is ever safe from the patient light. The paradox remains, the math argues, the theories twist, but the truth feels near. Nothing is truly lost, not you, not anything. And just before the next thought begins, you ask yourself, if black holes remember, do they also forgive? Last lines, closing voiceover. You linger with the question. Its edges soft and infinite. If the universe remembers everything, where do your memories go next? You drift now at a distance, no longer falling, no longer rising, suspended in the hush between questions. You look back at the place where light forgets to return. The black hole still spins in the dark, quiet, cold, but tonight you learn. Something softer, something strange, something glowing. It begins with Stephen Hawking, a mind lit like a candle, flickering against the dark of the unknown. From his wheelchair, he looked farther than most of us will ever dream, and what he saw shimmered right at the edge of black holes. A whisper, a ghost, a warmth in a place where warmth should not be. This is Hawking radiation. You imagine a black hole not as a devourer, but as a reluctant participant in the universe's rules. You see it, sitting alone, surrounded by stars it has long forgotten, giving off the faintest sigh of energy, not roaring, not devouring, just ... fading. Hawking suggested that black holes aren't completely black, that they glow a little, not with fire, not with light, but with possibility at the edge, where space and time slip, tiny pairs of particles flicker into existence. One falls in, the other escapes. You feel that moment, like a breath held too long. This escaping particle is the beginning of the end. A gift unwrapped slowly, over time, not hours, not years, but eons beyond imagination. Black holes lose mass, bit by bit, spark by spark. They shrink, they cool, they vanish, and you wonder what happens to a monster that forgets how to roar. It evaporates. The greatest weights in the cosmos dissolve into nothing like sugar in warm water. Not violently, not suddenly, but gracefully, gently. You look at the stars and wonder how many died watching a black hole die. But this radiation is not just an end. It is a message. It tells you nothing is forever. Not even the things that feel permanent. Not even silence. Not even loss. You sit with that. You let it settle in your chest. It means the universe has a way of cleaning up after itself. Even the most selfish-seeming objects give something back. Even the coldest hearts glow. You picture it now, a black hole, old and tired, whispering light into the void. Not enough to warm you, not enough to see by, but enough to say, I was here, and I am going. This is cosmic. Mercy, it is the idea that gravity, in all its hunger, still bows to quantum rules. Hawking's idea wasn't welcomed at first. Black holes were meant to be perfect vaults, things that locked up matter and memory forever. But the glow wouldn't leave. His math held, and the universe, stubborn as it is, began to whisper its agreement. You look again at the black holes. Edge, not with fear now, but with patience, because endings change when you know they end. You might ask, where does it all go? The mass, the energy, the secrets once thought lost. Do they return? Do they transform? Or do they dance away in patterns? We're too small to see. You may never know. But knowing they don't stay buried, that is enough for tonight. Hawking radiation is quiet. It doesn't shout. It doesn't explode. It just happens, like dreams. Like forgiveness, the glow is almost nothing. But it is not nothing, and in a universe where light escapes even the darkest places, maybe that's all the hope you need. You reach your hand toward the image in your mind, the shrinking hole, the final breath, the last ember. You do not touch it. You just acknowledge it, because some things are too distant to hold, but too meaningful to ignore. You let the idea wrap around you like a blanket. Black holes do not only take, they also give, and that means maybe you do, to dot all the heaviness you carry. All the gravity you think will crush you might one day radiate into something soft, something kind. Maybe your hardest parts are also glowing. Maybe your pain is giving back. The universe doesn't forget you. It transforms you. And one day, long after the last black hole sighs into nothing, that transformation will echo in the quiet. The black hole glows again in your thoughts. Not bright, but alive. A fire that ends with a whisper. A night that ends with a dawn. Last voiceover lines, you breathe out slowly, watching the darkness shimmer just once more. If black holes can let go, what happens to what they leave behind? You're back on Earth, or something like it. The ground feels real. The air tastes like morning. The sun greets you like a memory. But now you know everything here is real and not. Time flows, but it ripples, like soft wrinkles at the edge of a dream. The black hole didn't consume you. It opened you, folded your thoughts, slowed your mind. You walk gently now. Every step feels like a gift. A leaf in your hand trembles. Its veins hold sunlight, water, soil. Time hasn't passed through it. Time has collected. You realize you were never moving through time. Time was folding around you. You sit under a tree. The sky looks familiar, but somewhere in it, a black hole still waits. not hunting, not devouring, just watching, just teaching. They call them monsters, you know better. They're mirrors, the closer you got, the quieter things became. What remained was rhythm, pulse, gravity. You still hear it, the lullaby of relativity. Your watch ticks, but now you understand it lies. Or maybe it's just telling the truth in a different language. Time bends to presence, and presence is the only true clock, so you breathe. Not because you must, but because you can. You never left the universe. You've always been inside it. The singularity wasn't an end, it was a question. And you learned better questions matter more than answers. You wonder if black holes give back. What else does? What if the darkest things hold the most light, not in brightness, but in insight? You see someone walk by, you smile. Maybe that's what time really is, ripples we make when we notice each other. You laugh because the mystery didn't go anywhere. It just became part of you. You were shaped by what you approached. You carry the curvature now. Falling through time never meant getting lost. It meant becoming open. You think of Hawking, of Einstein, of stretched photons, unfolding space. They weren't just minds, they were moments, and so are you. You were never meant to understand everything, only to feel it, to let thoughts settle in your bones. Time is not gone, it's just quieter. Far away, a black hole still hums, still sings, and you remember its music. You stand, you stretch, and you wonder what else is out there waiting to fold you into a better question. Final voiceover line. Maybe that's the point, not to escape time, but to learn how to fall through it gently,